Good evening, and welcome to the Italian Home for Children's first ever virtual gala. My name is Marcia Fowler, and I'm honored to serve as chair of the board of directors. The Italian Home is in its 101st continuous year of delivering state-of-the-art clinical and educational services to children and families across the state. While many businesses shut down during the COVID-19 pandemic, that was not an option for us. Our services continued 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, due to the extraordinary work of staff and a commitment to implementing best practices in order to ensure the well-being and safety of children and families. This seamless continuation of essential services during the pandemic was monumental as it was costly. We look forward to a time when we can all get back together in person again to celebrate the mission of the Italian Home. But until then, relax, sit back, and tonight you will hear stories of how the Italian Home has provided these vital and necessary services to children and families. I hope that you will join me in bidding on some auction items and making a financial contribution so that we can continue to serve children throughout this difficult time and for years to come. We greatly depend upon and value your generosity. It is now my pleasure to introduce your host for the evening, the Italian Home's own Susan Keys, Chief Operating Officer. And again, welcome to the Italian Home's first ever virtual gala.
Thank you, Marcia. I'm Susan Keys, the Chief Operating Officer of the Italian Home for Children, and I'll be your host for this evening. I want to thank you for joining us for the Italian Home's first ever virtual gala. It's our pleasure to have you tonight. We're grateful that you're here. Now, before we get started, I'd like to encourage you to register online at italianhome.org/Gala 2020. On this site, you're going to be able to donate as well as bid on silent auction items throughout the evening. Tonight, you're going to hear from many people from the programs. They're going to share with you about our residential services, our community-based programs, the out-of-school time programs, and the PALLOTTA Educational Center. We will be sharing stories with you about our clients, and of course, we will protect them by changing their name, but they are real stories and really the work that we're doing here at the Italian Home. We're gathering tonight to raise the necessary funds to do the work that we do. I please ask that you donate at a level that's meaningful to you. Again, the website is italianhome.org/Gala 2020. You will impact these children's lives and make a difference. Again, we thank you. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our President and CEO, Dr. Alan Jacobson.
Hi everyone, I'm Alan Jacobson, President and CEO of Italian Home for Children, and I wanted to welcome you to our virtual gala this year. I can't begin to even tell you how important all of you are to help us do what we do. As many of you know, we got our start about 100 years ago during the major flu pandemic of 1918. And our founders realized that without them and without their efforts, there would be children who wouldn't be cared for and wouldn't have a place to live and wouldn't have people caring for them. Now, 100 years later, we're in a similar situation. Without us, 100 years later, there would be children that wouldn't have what they need. There would be families that couldn't put food on their table. There would be children who wouldn't be receiving a quality education. And there would be children who literally would be living in traumatic and dangerous environments. So we're glad to be here 100 years later, and this time really resonates for us. A lot of you faced the challenge last spring of having 1 or 2 or maybe 3 kids home from school. You know how hard that was to cover their schooling and to be home and to have the challenge of all of that. Well, imagine having 40 children home from school. Well, that's what happened to us. We had 40 children who would normally leave our facility right behind us and go to their home schools, but they were going to be home with us all spring. So we did what we do, And we hired extra staff, and we got a lot of personal protective equipment, and we added a lot of cleaning, and we made sure that we would be available to all 40 of those kids who would normally be out at their schools and instead would be with us during the day, and we were very successful at that. And at the same time, we noticed that a lot of the families we serve out in the community were struggling a lot, very hard hit by the pandemic. A lot of them struggling financially to the degree that they were having trouble putting food on their table. So again, we did what we do, and we didn't think too much about it, but we just started delivering meals to these families in distress. And when all was said and done, at the end of the summer, we had delivered literally thousands of meals to people who were in crisis and were food insecure. And a quick shout out, by the way, to Mario PALLOTTA and all the families at the New England Produce Center. Every week, they would send crates and crates of the most wonderful produce. Without them, I'm not sure we could have done what we did and help all those families and feed the kids in our care who were with us during the day. One thing I want to do before I stop is I want to express my gratitude toward the staff at Italian Home. They didn't flinch when all of this happened. They do what they do, and we were able to do everything during this pandemic that we usually do because our staff is just so dedicated and so amazing. One time there was a person who's an adult now, but she was here as a kid and she was here for many years. And she said to me, you know, as I grew older, I noticed that all of these people who could have done anything else had chosen to be my family when my family wasn't available. She said that gave her a sense of hope that is still with her today. So as this gala goes on, you're going to hear a lot about our programs and what we do from the people that deliver our services. And I hope that if something moves you, you decide to donate, because we really rely on our community and people like you. And also, if you have friends or family or neighbors or colleagues who you think would want to hear about what we do and this might resonate with them, please, please, please spread the word. And again, the link is quite easy, italianhome.org/Gala 2020. Spread the word and please keep in touch. We really value our community, and thank you for attending our gala.
Thank you, Alan. We certainly did pivot during COVID. Now I would like to introduce Stephanie Bedavis, our Senior Director of Residential Programming. She'll give you a deeper dive into the programs that we have that serve children 24/7.
Thank you, Sue. I'm Steph Bedavis. I'm the Senior Director of Residential Services here at the Italian Home. So residential services at the Italian Home has a few different meanings. We serve kids who come here for long-term treatment, and most of those kids come to us through the Department of Children and Families or the Department of Mental Health. And they come to us after they've experienced some pretty significant life events. So most of them have experienced pretty significant trauma, including physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, possible exposure to domestic violence or substance use. And they come to us essentially after they really have been unsuccessful in the community. We have many wraparound services which are wonderful that I can speak to. So when children come to us, our main goal for our long-term treatment in our group home and our residential ed programs are to get children back in the community as soon as possible. Every child that comes into this building, we believe, should be connected to family of some sort. So whether or not that's a parent, a grandparent, an extended family member, finding new family, our clinicians work really hard to include families in our treatment. A common phrase that you might hear at the Italian Home when it comes to children and families is, one day in residential is one day too many. So our goal is really to take the kids in, really work on stabilization, and the question is what do we need to do to get this child and family ready for return back to the community. Many of our kids come here not even knowing how to shower or brush their teeth, how to make a bed, or how to even appropriately interact with some peers or adults. And so they work with the kids on really basic things like how to have a social interaction, how to brush their teeth, what is appropriate in a conversation. And, that's really the foundation of that, but it really grows into, learning how to trust adults. The staff that work here are there to see the ups and the downs. They see the highlights of their day, get to read them a bedtime story, or, maybe see them, engage in something that they've never done before. And they really see them at their low point. So during crisis, when they're having a hard time where they might be physically aggressive. And for these children to have adults really kind of see them through and kind of ride the wave with them really helps them learn how to have healthy relationships with adults and help support their ability to trust people. And so, our res counselors are really the champions that do that day in and day out. We also provide medication management. So our children see a psychiatry team every single month. And, the purpose behind that service is to help, if a child is really having significant mental health needs, allowing them to access the coping skills and some of the treatment that we're providing by, possibly providing medications that can help them do that. So we have a lot of just different services that help support these kids. We also have a CBAT program, which is meant for short-term treatment. So essentially what that looks like is, a child might be having a really acute problem in the community, at their home, in school. They may be experiencing suicidal ideation, significant depression or anxiety, and they come to us to really get intensive treatment so that we can get them back home as soon as possible. One of the impact stories that come to mind, we had a young man named Brandon here for several years. I want to say it was about 4 or 5 years, and just to kind of express the transition that happened for this kid. He came here with pretty significant neglect, just physically unkempt, not knowing when his next meal was, or if there was running water in the home, really serious abuse, some sexual abuse, physical abuse. And he came to us really broken. He came to us sad and angry. And when I asked people kind of to describe what it was like when he came into the building, many people said primitive, and I think that's really a profound way to describe Brandon. Primitive is a great word, just really sad and angry. He came into the building not knowing how to hold a fork and a knife and not knowing how to shower. And so at the basic level, we just kind of rallied around the idea of safety. How do we make this child feel safe? How do we consistently provide for his basic needs, like consistent meals and somebody prompting him to brush his teeth and to take care of him and maybe tuck him into bed. So he was here for a long time, and to see the transformation from this child who really just did not know how to be a kid, to then, seeing him being able to shower and brush his teeth with limited prompts, and seeing him start to build relationships with staff. This is a child who would get restrained very often. He would become physically aggressive, at times kind of disrobe. And if you fast forward to the child that we see now, it is pretty incredible. His personality spills out into the universe. He is sweet and thoughtful. He's caring. And it's really a testament to just the patience, the dedication that our staff have for these children. So, after kind of really working on some of the basic foundations of his transformation, it then really turned into clinical work. So how do you support a child clinically to process through their trauma, to learn how to manage anger, to access those coping skills? And that really took a team of people here. So our clinicians working with our res counselors, teaching coping skills, and then having the res counselors kind of implement that in the building. And And this kid, his personality is just he's a happy-go-lucky kid. And when he came here, it was, just a broken, sad child. So to be able to kind of see that transformation was pretty incredible. And that's really a testament to the work that we do. COVID-19 definitely impacted the work that we do. In our business, we can't shut down. These kids live here. They still learn from us regardless of what's going on in the community. So, we really had to rally together. The staff did an incredible job. Typically the children go to school, and so we don't have staffing during some of the morning times. And there was no hesitation from our res counselors, from the clinicians about being here, being in person, picking up extra shifts, really going above and beyond to help support this team, help support the kids. And to really do, what our jobs are. So, COVID-19 definitely impacted the ability for us to, kind of pool our resources. Sometimes it's important to note that, resources can be scarce, but everybody really kind of came to the table and did that. I would say that the kids actually did better than the adults. They in terms of consistency, less transitions, they did a really nice job. We implemented some pretty significant structure so that they had somewhat of a, academic type portion to their day. And we're fortunate to kind of have a lot of resources on this campus, including a pool and a playground. So we really just tried to get the kids as active as possible. And, we talked to them a lot about what COVID-19 is in kid-friendly terms. So that they kind of understood what was going on in the community. So we have another child. Her name is Jada, and I would say when she came here, 7 years old, really young, and when you think of a 7-year-old, you think of somebody who kind of is carefree, and that was very much the opposite of Jada. She was angry, impulsive. She's a kid that would bite, she would self-harm. There was a lot going on for her. So she really couldn't be successful at school or the home at that time. And, again, to just speak to the trauma that she, experienced at such a young age, at 7, to, experience physical abuse and neglect. She came to us really confused about what adults are supposed to do. And she came here and we were really able to kind of break down treatment for her. So she had some medical needs, and that was really the first step. Working with our nursing team to get her to specialist appointments, and working with our psychiatrist to find medications that could get her to the place where she could access coping skills. She was her plan was really to step down back to a parent, and DCF said, I'm not sure that parent is ready for this, and our response was, we still want this parent to be a part of treatment. Jada has a relationship with this person. How do we use family therapy in a way that we can just build a healthy back and forth between parent and Jada? And that was really helpful. It helped build trust on the parents' end. It helped Jada feel like she was connected. So a lot of work was done in terms of, individual therapy, helping support. She had a sensory coping skill box that she would bring with her often. So when she started to get a little bit angry, frustrated, or kind of impulsive, she was coached by the residential staff to use it and did a really nice job with that. And, fast forward a month down the line, our clinician was talking with her DCF team and just said, I saw her with an aunt, and there was this really great connection there. Have you ever thought about her stepping down with the aunt? And DCF said, we never really thought of it. And that's really where the work started turning to. And that's the beauty of the work that we do, is that we use all of these interventions. We work with the child individually, and family therapy is really where a lot of the crux of the work is. So the aunt started to get involved, started to visit here with Jada, and We started teaching the aunt about trauma and psychoed, and you could just tell that that bond was there. The aunt did a really nice job in terms of, supporting Jada, supporting the team here. And, Jada was able to go home with the aunt. And it, again, just a testament to, how just working so collaboratively, taking all of the disciplines and working together, bridging those gaps, we really can do some great work for these kids. And she was only here for about 4 months. It took 4 months of just really focusing on treatment to get this child back in the community where she belongs with trusted adults, people that she loves and that she cares about.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing those stories of Brandon and Jada. We at the Italian Home for Children are transforming lives. Will you be the one to donate to transform more lives? Again, the website is italianhome.org/Gala 2020. We hope that you do. Now I'd like to take a moment to thank our platinum sponsors, E.M. Duggan and Covington Associates. Thank you. I'd also like to thank a couple of families that just donated, the Papil family and the O'Hanlon family. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to introduce Nicole Chester, the Associate Vice President of Day Programs. She's going to tell you much more about our out-of-school time programs.
Hi, I'm Nicole Chester. I am the Associate Vice President of Day Programs at the Italian Home. So the out-of-school time program serves kids between the ages of 6 and 12. We have a summer program and we have a February and April vacation program. As well as our after-school programming, where we have kids that we serve from that are referred to us from Department of Mental Health and the Department of Children and Families. Most kids are referred to us, to the Italian Home, out-of-school time program due to needing stabilization. Our goal is to help them stay in their homes, as well as receiving services for some of their acute behaviors that they may display at home or in the community. The out-of-school time program is beneficial to children that we serve due to providing them that additional structure. Kids, in normal times, kids are in a school setting throughout the day, sometimes being dismissed from kids. They're going home without a parent there or without any structure. So the out-of-school time program serves as an additional structure for children. It serves as providing kids those meals that they wouldn't receive. It's providing children that additional help with homework that maybe a parent or is working all day, coming home, not able to sit with their child or cook dinner or provide that homework help for them, or just provide that overall comfort at the end of the day to process the day with their particular child, because they're dealing with their day-to-day of working all day. So the out-of-school time program kind of completes a day for a child to help that child with those services that they may need to continue on day to day. So COVID-19, when it hit in March, we were told, as the world knows, all of a sudden in March, we were kind of told to create this program virtually, and keeping in mind that we are working with kids that some of their home environments are not pretty stable, so we had to think pretty quickly on our feet. And that is making sure that internet service was being in each of the child's home, as well as technology that they need, as well as one thing that really in particular is making sure that children had meals. In the out-of-school time program, in our program, in the after-school program, we provide dinner. During the vacation and summer, we provide breakfast, lunch, and snacks. So it was thinking creatively on how to get these meals to families, how to get technology to family, how to serve these families during these already trying times. So we adapted. As well as being able to have kids come on campus for the summer program in June, maintaining social distancing, kids wearing masks, staying 6 feet apart, and that was a difficult task at hand, but we were able to manage. I think the plus of that is kids were able to see each other. We had a school bus that kids were on to maintain social distancing. So the plus of that was seeing kids' faces on arriving to campus. And this area that you see right here is where the summer program was. Generally, we have take kids off ground, so we had to be creative on grounds, where, as you can see, we had kids do some gardening. We had kids, we had water activities all around. We had a lot of therapeutic, creative art crafts for the kids to do on a daily basis. So I think that was the plus on just having kids and giving kids that different outlet versus home during this pandemic that we're in. I think the support is needed. Just right now, I can speak to just currently what we're in right now. We're in a current pandemic right now, and just think about what it is doing to the population of people, mental health, and I think just that is just an awareness, and I think just continuously providing services to children and their families are huge. That's something that needs to keep being on the radar of many people. Like, there are people that are really struggling, not only with resources in regards to food, clothing, but just resources in regards to everyday mental health. Just how do you just getting up every day to take care of themselves and taking care of the children. This work continues to be passionate for me. I believe when I was, younger, I've always wanted to reach out and help. Didn't want the traditional office job, and, just wanted to help. And, every day, being able to come into work, whether it's on an administrative level or not, just being able to have that voice and to advocate for particular children that are struggling day to day, just being able to make others aware of mental health. Mental health is real. It's real, and it starts at latency age, and sometimes that's ignored, or people aren't educated on this is the age that it starts. So just knowing that and having the experience and working with this population of children just continues to drive my passion, not only to help the children, but to help others to help children to continue to grow and thrive. So Taj is a 10-year-old boy who lives at home with his grandmother and his sibling, his oldest sibling, aged 11. And during March, Taj always struggled, and the out-of-school time program served as a stabilization piece for Taj with his grandmother as well, in helping her help Taj with some of his behaviors. And during the pandemic that we're in, Taj wasn't really able to stay in the home. Grandma was tested positive for COVID-19. Taj really struggled in the home, which led him to an inpatient level of care. We sort of maintained communication with Taj while he was in that inpatient level of care, and were able to offer him services in the summer, actually being able to come on grounds and participate in the summer camp here at the Italian home. It's giving them some sort of stabilization, and when they don't have that, we do find that kids do wind up in a more inpatient setting, a hospital setting, versus our setting where we are catering to kids and giving them that individual attention that they need.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I love hearing stories about kids like Taj. Here at the Italian home, we do try to help the entire family. Will you be someone who donates to help more grandmothers like Taj's grandma? Again, the website is italianhome.org/Gala 2020. I'd like to take a moment to thank our gold sponsors, Arthur J. Hurley Company, thank you, Rockland Trust, thank you. I'd also like to thank a couple of families that just donated, the PALLOTTA family and our chairwoman, Marcia Fowler. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to introduce Esther Chi. She's going to tell you more about our community-based programs.
Thank you, Sue. I'm Esther Chi. I am a senior clinician at the Italian Home for Children. That means that I am an in-home clinician and I supervise as well. So as an in-home therapist, myself and a partner, we go into the homes and we get a lot of referrals from hospitals, schools, clinics, and we go into the home to work with families around their goals. And a lot of times their goals could be around supporting dynamics at home, communication. A lot of times if the kiddo is having aggression or self-harm or anxiety or depression, we work with the family very intensely and consistently to meet those goals. Definitely COVID-19 made a huge impact. I think initially we transitioned right away over to Zoom just so that we're making sure everyone is safe, whether it's us and also the families. I think the impact that we saw with our families, it was pretty, pervasive in the sense of like it impacted dynamics in the home with quarantining, with students going to virtual school. We needed support around that, finances. I think a lot of families worried about their job security. Housing security was also a huge thing that we supported. And so I think for our team through Zoom, I'm really, really proud and impressed with our team because we really just hit the ground running by supporting them with referrals, whether it's resources, through different creative activities of what the parents can do in the home during this quarantine time, contacting the school and supporting the students to make this transition easier or smoother as much as possible. I think I think our team really, if anything, served even more families during this time. So I'm really, really impressed and proud of our team. So I want to share a story about a kiddo. Let's say, for the sake of confidentiality, I'll call him Joe, and his dad, let's call him Derek. Initially, he had multiple hospitalizations, was coming out of group home, and we worked with him consistently, weekly, around their goals and kind of working towards safety. And so right now he's at a point where he's able to process and advocate for himself and express his feelings. So I want to share kind of what our work looked like then. So my partner and I, Caitlin, we has been working with the family. Like I said initially, Joe had a difficult time keeping himself safe, which is why he had multiple hospitalizations. He struggled a lot with suicidal thoughts, just a lot of anxiety. And so one thing that we worked with him around when we did work with them in the home is around communicating safely. I know a lot of times when we work with dad around setting expectations and structure in the home, and when dad set a limit, a lot of times he reacted with unsafe statements such as wanting to harm himself or unsafe statements towards dad. So we really work with the family around identifying emotions weekly, identifying triggers, identifying coping skills to get ahead of it that were effective. We provided dad with a lot of psychoeducation around trauma so that he can have an understanding of Joe's symptoms and kind of what's helpful in the moment during a crisis. So we supported a lot during that crisis and de-escalating and coaching them through difficult conversations. Some of those, along with that too, is we also wanted to strengthen their relationship with each other as they are learning from Joe transitioning out of group home into the home. We really wanted to kind of build that trust through different interventions, whether it's like creative play therapy, or I know one thing that we love doing in in our sessions was doing a checkout of appreciating each other. And we saw initially it was very awkward, or they didn't know kind of what language to use. And I know Dad for a couple of months would say, I appreciate that Joe listens. But over time, we started to notice that Dad started to notice kind of the efforts that Joe has been making. And I think in turn, we saw Joe's confidence and self-esteem increase, and their kind of safety and trust with each other. And so what we saw also is that as expectations and communication and structure was clear in the home, and as their communication, their coaching in the home was also, the coaching was, we supported Dad with coaching. We saw that they were able to have more regulated conversations. Dad was able to notice when Joe would get upset. So instead of them shutting down, he would prompt him with different coping skills. And so more recently, one thing that we were really excited about that Dad had shared is one of Joe's natural supports started to notice that Joe was opening up a lot more about his emotions and feelings. And so that's a huge, huge progress from where we first started, where if he started to share, he would either shut down or say something unsafe. But now he's able to feel regulated in his body, trust more people to talk about what's going on in his mind and his heart, and feel safe to talk about that with Dad as well. One big value of in-home therapy is really meeting the families where they are at, and in their environment and in their kind of setting, and in their dynamics. And so I think one thing that draws me is within their family dynamics, kind of meeting their goals and wanting to kind of bridge them towards their goals. And so when I see, for example, like I shared around Joe, meeting those goals around feeling safe and being able to express himself and feeling kind of that grounded sense of worth for himself, I think it's just very rewarding.
Thank you, Esther. I know you and your teammate Caitlin do a tremendous amount of planning for each meeting that's above and beyond what we get reimbursed by our insurance companies. In fact, it's donors like you that can help us help more kids like Joe. Again, italianhome.org/Gala 2020. Now I'd like to thank our silver sponsors, Needham Bank and State Street. Thank you so much. And wow, 4 more families have just donated. The Manganaro family, the Day family, the Real family, and Peter Malia. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to introduce Max Brodsky. He's the director of the PALLOTTA Educational Center, and he's going to tell you much more about our school during COVID times.
Hi, I'm Max Brodsky. I'm the Director of Education here at the Mary Salvioli Educational Center. The amazing children that come to us come as referrals from their public schools. They come as amazing, intricate puzzles where we have to work to solve with our families, the guardians, as well as our clinicians and special education teachers. All of us work together to try to help support our students. During COVID-19, we were able to disperse our technology to the students and their families. By sending them home with the computers, laptops, and Chromebooks, students were able to access the academics as well as provide connection with their clinicians for occupational therapy, speech and language, and mental health supports. This allowed a sense of stability and structure for some of our most amazing kids who also really need that structure at home and that additional support. I was drawn to work with the Italian Home because I believe in working with some of the most amazing, impacted, and marginalized communities. I've been privileged and lucky in my life to have people around me who supported me and helped me move forward. That isn't the case for everybody, but I was able to move forward because I had that wraparound services. As a student, I had an IEP. I had clinicians working with me. I had special education teachers that worked with me. And the ability for me to take what I've learned through graduate degrees, through my own experience, through teaching as well, and be able to be part of an institution that's been around for over 100 years, and to be able to support people as they are getting the same services, to bring them forward so they can live meaningful, purposeful, and impactful lives that they choose. I chose to come to the Italian Home because it is a home, and I wanted to be able to support others find theirs. When I was working on the reopening plan with the amazing team here, we spent hours talking about what would happen to our kids if we didn't open. We thought about the challenges they were facing with food, with stability, with security. And we really came to the conclusion that if we weren't open, we couldn't be certain what would happen with our kids. We wanted to provide them that structure, that support, and even offer them food that we can do at the school. We're privileged to have such amazing ratios in our classroom of teachers to students. We are blessed with ample space in our classrooms, so our students have plenty of social distancing. They're able to have alternative seating arrangements before COVID happened because it works for them. We know that our kids need the structure of being in school every day. And when we worked on thinking on how reopening was going to be, it wasn't a question. It was, how can we move forward and support our kids more, instead of how can we close the school? We really cared about helping them grow, and we are able to do so as we're open with the doors and our kids here. One of our amazing students, Sam, came to us a couple of years ago suffering with a number of amounts of comorbidity trauma that he was working through. Over the years that we've had the time to work with him and put the pieces together, we were able to find supports not only academically, but also clinically and therapeutically for him. When COVID hit, not only was it a shock to all of us, but his house also caught on fire at the same time. We're working with an amazing student who, while we were all trying to figure out where we could work from home, he needed a home. Our clinicians worked tirelessly in order to help provide support and stability for his structure. We sent home this technology, and one of our biggest concerns was not only would he get it, but was he okay? Were we able to support him and provide him that access to learning and academics and the clinicians that he needed? Over the summer, when he was learning with us online after he found placement, he was able to engage in subjects where they talked about flight. When he came into the building, because we were offering a hybrid model, he was able to make paper airplanes, and we saw him glow as he was finding himself again after the big shock to all of us. During this time, I've seen him grow and put these pieces together that while he's always going to be working through the trauma, always working through something that all of us struggle with, we know that because the structure and the supports that we were putting in because of COVID, before COVID, and we're still doing now, we're able to have him be able to hold himself together. He's able to move forward, and he's an amazing student to be able to work with. We know that one single caring adult can make the difference in their lives. I'm incredibly thankful and incredibly proud to be leading a school filled with caring adults who work tirelessly for our students, who work in order to support them as they improve and can live their own lives. It's essential that as we move forward, we can continue providing support for some of the most impacted, marginalized, and disenfranchised communities. These are students who are wonderful to work with. They make me smile every day I come into the building, even on my hardest days. And when I'm with them, I know and I see so much opportunity and possibility for them to grow. I'm thankful to be here, and I'm really glad for you to share this with you as well.
Thank you, Max. It's inspiring to hear examples of how staff go above and beyond to help children like Sam. If you haven't donated yet, please do at italianhome.org/Gala 2020. Now, the silent auction is about to close as soon as I finish thanking the following people. We'd like to thank our event sponsors, Easy Cater, South Shore Bank, Atlantic Elevator Services, and Devaney Energy. Thank you so much. A special thank you to our neighbors, Brigham and Women's Faulkner Hospital, for their generous support of the Italian Home. We also have two more families that just donated, the Pasquale family and the Rudin family. Thank you so much. The silent auction is now closed. If you are a winner, you'll be emailed instructions about how to redeem your item. The Italian Home for Children started during the Spanish flu pandemic. Now here we are during the COVID-19 pandemic. We are more relevant than ever. If you haven't yet donated, please do at italianhome.org/Gala 2020. Check your inbox Monday morning. We'll be sending out the full amount that you've all collectively donated this evening to help the children and families at Italian Home for Children. This concludes our first ever virtual gala. We thank you for being here and have a great evening.